Do want to welcome in Scott Tabor, former Razorback pitcher on the 1979.
He can talk a little golf and a little baseball.
Can he? Scott,
I'm not sure which one he's better at.
I can talk it. I can't play it, but I can talk it.
Probably still better than me. So
you're a tremendous slouch.
Scott, we've been cooking up this morning a way for Clay to phone over Mr. Stevens and get us down to Augusta. And I made my way from a caddy to a butler to potentially no longer being on the trip. So
I'll tell you a story about that. When in 2003, when they put me in the Hall of Honor, I went up to Coach Broyles and I said, he's about to hand me a plaque. He shook my hand. I said, so I was told that when you get this, then you get to go play Augusta with Coach Broyles. He looked at me and he didn't grin. I was grinning, tongue in cheek, and he didn't grin. And he goes, nope. Turn around, walk away. I went, okay.
And he wasn't lying.
No, he wasn't lying.
Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
So, no, that was it. It was just, I still laugh about that. Nope.
You can't tell us what the furniture looks like in Butler Cabin there.
I can't.
You cannot.
I really can't. I can make it up.
You bring up Coach Broyles getting to go play golf. I do have a friend that has gotten to play golf in Augusta with Coach Broyles, and I don't know if there's a better experience that a Hawk fan would give to have that. But we might come back to Masters and golf conversations. I do want to ask you about this weekend. We've been kicking around it this morning. Clay thinks it because they're a bunch of drunks, but I want to know from your perspective, why do Ole Miss, we'll just pertain it to baseball, why do Ole Miss fans have such an arrogance about them when their baseball team really hasn't done anything to back it up? One College World Series appearance in recent years in 2014. Last one was in the 70s. Why do you think that fan base thinks their baseball team is so good, and when in reality it's simply not the case?
Ole Miss's fan base isn't results-driven. It's kind of alcohol-driven. And we're so great because we party so hard, and our girls are pretty, and we got the growth. And so that makes them think that everything is great. And their baseball team has taken on that persona, and they scrap. They play hard, and they're going to hit the ball hard, and they're going to pitch hard, and they're going to play. They don't always win, but I think that their program is being lifted up just by the fact that they're in the SEC West, and they better lift it up. And so I think recruiting over the years has gotten better, and right now there's such a logjam of talent. Everybody's got talent and great arms and hitters up and down the lineup. So you better up your game a little bit. But I think that's it more than anything else. It's not results driven.
Tommy,
their deal.
What do you think Ole Miss is more known for, eating boogers or their TikToks?
Well, I'm not much of a TikTok guy, so I'll go with answer A, boogers.
How do you do that if you're Doug Nikhazy? Like, how do you do that? Like, you got a camera on you all the time, and you can't do that.
I think he knew there was a camera on. I think that was his deal, and he reveled in the fact that they were doing the booger eater chant, and he I think he likes that. Put the heat on himself.
Okay.
Yeah. Thing is, when you're on the field, you don't think about the fact that there's a camera on you. It's like the crowd noise. You don't, unless somebody's sitting right next to you and you're in the bullpen or you're in the dugout and they're sitting right next to you, talking to you and screaming at you. It's just kind of white noise.
Yeah, but
so you could be.
Ty's a millennial. He's always looking for the camera that's on him. Though everywhere we go,
I'm just so used to
McDonald's drive-thru. He's looking for the camera. Everywhere he goes, he fixing his hair.
I'm just so used to the camera being on me.
He looks at the camera and then he just kind of flips his hair. Yeah.
Well, Tom, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm jealous of your hair.
Thank you, Scott.
I see anybody's hair.
Anybody's hair.
In general.
Tabor, if you had hair like that, wouldn't you do more with it, though?
Oh, well, if I had hair like that, I'd go back to where back in the 70s and 80s where I had the big afro kind of Jerry curl thing, so there would be no fixing it. It's just there.
I think Tommy or Clay sent us a picture of your baseball composite, Scott, back in the day. I can't remember who it was, but one of them showed me, and it was pretty cool, man. A different style back then, to say the least.
Well, yeah, it's kind of coming back. My 18-year-old has gone to that. I look at him, I want to say, get a haircut, and I think, no, that's where I was, and so I wouldn't have got a haircut anyway if somebody told me to. So it's
so Scott, when you go on the road in the SEC like this weekend, the Arkansas series, what constitutes a successful weekend?
When you go on the road, the one thing you don't want to do is not as much as what you do is what you don't want to do is get swept. If you can pull one of three out, that's good. 2 of 3 is fantastic, and if you sweep, man, it's like at Mississippi State, that wasn't seen. When they sit down and figure out where their wins are going to come from and where their possible losing going to come from, because teams play better at home. And so when you go on the road, your schedule's upset, you're staying in a hotel, you're going doing this, you're not sleeping in your own bed. It's just a little different feel, even though the mound's still 60 feet 6 inches, the bases are 90 feet. It's just a little bit of a different feel. If they take 2 of 3, it's a success. It is a fantastic success with 2 of 3. And you could see last night, I was watching last night, Rocker got hit around the park pretty good, and he was playing at home. And so things can happen. Our guys could go in there and absolutely just be nails on the mound. Our hitters hit, and our Georgia last night was phenomenal. They look like the number 1 team in the country. So, we always have the potential to bust out and shut people down. And I think what we'd always talked about since the beginning of the season is the strength of our bullpen, our middle guys. Our starter doesn't have to go 7 for us to be successful. Even if they have to come out early, we have 2 or 3 guys who can bridge that gap in the middle to get to our closers, and we're really, really strong. And I think this is a different kind of dominant team. It's not a domination. We're going to score more runs. You're never going to score a run. It's we're going to grind it out, and we get to the point where we have just a little bit of lead. We're going to hold it. So it's fun to watch them.
Scott, I was reading from the game notes that the university sent us. This will be the 100th time in history when the 2 teams meet when they take the field tonight. The series is 51-48. So, been pretty even with these 2 clubs just historically. Arkansas won 2 of 3 the last time they met in 2019 at Baum Walker. And it's an even 21-21 record when played in Oxford. So, point being, and Mike Bianco and Dave Van Horn have approximately been at their schools about the same time. Bianco came in 2001.
Right.
These are 2 great coaches in this league, and they've both had great programs that have consistently been good. You talk about just trying to get a series win tonight. That seems to just going to be a battle for both of these teams based on the series record.
Right. Yeah, and every series is important. Beating they don't count well. Your record's better than everybody else's, but you won 2 or 3 from the bottom drawer guys. So we're not going to count both of those. We're only going to count one of them. So each win is a win. It's a point. It's just you're just playing for points if you look at it on paper. And so, but winning against the upper tier guys, that's always a big thing, especially when it comes to regionals, super regionals, and seeding, and national rankings. And those are the things that you want to set yourself up for at the end. But you got to get to the end. And so I think this is a big series, and also just for the braggadocio. Yeah. You always want to beat Ole Miss. Yeah. I don't know why.
Wicklander, Pallette, and Lockhart for Arkansas Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They've got a lefty, Doug Nikhazy, going on Saturday. Arkansas always struggles, it seems, Scott, with the lefties. He's got a 2.25 ERA. Is that something that, every time I see the lefties come up in the rotation against Arkansas, I get nervous. Is that the right thing to feel?
Well, most people struggle with lefties. That's why it's a blessing if you're a left-handed pitcher. You don't have to be as dominant as you do on the right side, because people see coming up all through youth baseball and everything, it's just not as many lefties. So when you have a lefty who is really, really good, it just puts that much more pressure on you. So I think that, and Van Horn's playing for this. If you look at their roster, they've built their roster around if they bring in a lefty, we've got righties. If they got righty coming in, we got a lot of lefties to hit. We got a lot of switch hitters, so we don't have to pull guys out of the lineup, in critical situations. So this roster is built to handle whatever that comes at it. Lefties are just tough. So hopefully, and the Razorbacks are not fast starters. The first time through the lineup will be kind of a feel him out kind of deal, make him get into some pitch count situations, see what he's throwing, see what he's got, and they'll talk in the dugout. And so the second time around the lineup, so you're looking 4th, 5th, 6th inning. Hopefully you can knock him around a little bit and get into that bullpen. But lefties are lefties. That's why there's a lot of them in the big leagues that aren't that great, making a lot of money for a long time.
Scott, you played for a Hall of Fame coach in Norm DeBryan, and obviously Dave Van Horn has already been inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame too. What makes those guys different? What makes them a Hall of Fame coach?
It's their longevity, the fact that they can continue excellence for a long period of time, their consistency in their approach and what they do. For example, with Coach DeBryan, things are different, now than they were back then. With Coach DeBryan, you never missed a day. there were no day offs and there were no limits on practice time or thank goodness we didn't have lights, so we'd probably still be practicing. He did it until he got it right, until it was so dark you just couldn't see anymore, and then you went about 10 minutes longer. And there were times where we would stop the bus and on the way down to Texas to play, which is where everything was, or stop the vans, we'd travel in vans, and the fields were wet, the high school field we're going to work out. We'd get out and we would practice in a parking lot of a mall. Everybody get your stuff out. Everybody get your gloves out. We're going to play catch. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You're practicing in a parking lot. And I'm thinking, this is a Division I baseball team playing catch in a parking lot, because you didn't want to miss any days. And that was his thing. No, there are no days off. Van Horn's the same way, but they're very, very consistent in their approach. And that builds consistency within players. And baseball is a game of repetition. Good repetition. Bad repetition brings bad games. It's like a golf swing. If you practice a bad swing long enough, you're going to be your swing. And I think just the fact that things don't get to them, they don't panic, and you have one game where you just get blown out. Well, you're playing the next game. It starts all over, and so you start from scratch the next day, and you scratch it out, and you get a win. So now you end up winning 2 out of 3, even though you got blown out the first night. Look at Alabama series. We lost that first game and thought, holy crap. And we still took 2 out of 3 from them. So it's the fact that they don't panic, and I think that they instill that in their kids. We never. I can still remember the feeling of never really feeling we were out of ball games. Even getting ripped around a little bit, or giving up a lot of runs, or just not hitting the ball. You still never felt like you're out of it. And this team really reflects that. This team, more than any I've seen in the recent past, really reflects that attitude, and I think that takes them a long ways.
Another huge matchup, number 3 Ole Miss and number 2 Arkansas tonight, getting with it at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock tonight, 4 o'clock Saturday, 1:30 on Sunday. Hear them all right here on ESPN Arkansas. Scott, thanks for your time. Enjoy the Masters this weekend and the Razorbacks and the Rebels.
All right, brother. Go Hogs.